Hello and welcome to the Southern View. Lots lined up this Monday evening, including all the action from Parliament. Namaskaram, Namaskara, Baunnara, Nalla Irkingla Vasudha.
Vanakkam Peter and Namaskar to all our viewers. On the show this evening, we will focus on the big political face-off over liquor scam in Andhra Pradesh and also the aviation minister Mohan Naidu taking on Western media Veera. Western media reports on the Air India 171 crash in the Parliament. But first up, the headlines.
The face-off begins in Parliament. The debate over Operation Sindoor likely next week. 16 hours allotted for the discussion in the Lok Sabha, according to sources.
16 students, 2 teachers and a pilot have been killed after a Bangladeshi Air Force jet crashed into a college in Dhaka.
Veteran communist leader and former Chief Minister of Kerala, the charismatic 101-year-old V.S. Achyutanandan passes away in Thiruvananthapuram. Condolence messages pour in from across the political spectrum. Well, first up this evening is the next target for the investigations in the Andhra liquor scam, former Chief Minister Jagan Reddy. The case has been brewing for a while, remember, and the arrest of YSRCP MP Mithun Reddy, followed by Jagan being named in the charge sheet filed by the police, suggests that trouble is mounting for the YSRCP chief Vasudha.
It's not just Jagan Reddy, Veera. Several other YSRCP leaders have been named in this scam. In fact, former Andhra Pradesh Deputy Chief Minister K. Narayanaswamy was also summoned but did not appear before the SIT today. Remember, Veera, while Jagan has been named, he has not been made an accused in the charge sheet that has been filed by the CID of Andhra Police.
That's right, there are many political dimensions to this case, Vasudha, and all eyes on what next for Jagan Reddy, because the allegations are serious. We'll have a YSRCP TDP face-off in a bit, but first Uma Sudhir with the details.
So the stage seems to be set for summoning former Andhra Pradesh Chief Minister Jagan Reddy before the special investigation team that is investigating into the AP liquor case. The 305-page charge sheet, that's a preliminary document, we are told, that was filed on Saturday, has his name in multiple places, and the suggestion is that he had received a pecuniary benefit. I must point out that he has not been added as an accused yet in this particular case. Things started heating up even more after the arrest of the YSRCP MP from Rajampet, Mr. P.V. Mithun Reddy, who has been accused number 4, named as accused number 4 in this case. And yes, there are about 12 people who have been arrested. And the allegation seems to be that there was some kind of a syndicate that was formed in 2019 when YSRCP came to power, that they had had a meeting at the Park Hyatt here where distillery owners and others were called, and that they had the distilleries had been threatened, owners had been threatened to agree to a system where the order for supply would be done manually and there will be a predetermined indent, and based on the prices that are put in the OFS, there would be a commission of up to 12% that is paid. Actually, that went up to 20%, and the allegation is that as much as 50 to 60 crore rupees was being collected as kickback or commission every single month, and the SIT has estimated that 3,200, and in some places the figure has been mentioned as 3,500 crore rupees is the loss to the exchequer. The allegation that is being made is that whether it is Mithun Reddy, Vijay Reddy, or you have other people like the first accused in this particular case, KC Reddy, Rajshekhar Reddy, was IT advisor to all of them accused in this particular case, and Jagan Reddy has reacted very strongly to this, saying that he believes that all this is politically motivated. He has called the arrest of Mithun Reddy as illegitimate, and he says that in fact the Chandrababu Naidu was out on bail in a liquor case that had been filed when Jagan Reddy was the Chief Minister, and he says it is a kind of a political revenge that is being done by the present regime.
YSRCP MP Madila Gurumurthy is with me. Sir, today your colleague, Member of Parliament Mithun Reddy, had been arrested in the alleged liquor scam. The TDP has been saying that there are evidences that they have gathered, and according to those evidences, this is the fourth person from the YSRCP who had been arrested. What do you want to say?
Telugudesam party doing Vendanta politics in Andhra Pradesh. That's why they are made false allegations. They are mainly targeting YSR Congress party's main leaders only. Why? Because they want to weaken the YSR Congress party. That's the reason they are putting so many cases on YSR Congress party leaders.
అక్రమ అరెస్టో కోర్టులు చెప్తాయండి. ఒక ఎంపీని అరెస్ట్ చేయడం అనేది ఇట్స్ నాట్ ఈజీ థింగ్. ఎన్నో ఎవిడెన్స్లు ఉండి పక్కా ఎవిడెన్స్లు ఉంటేనే కానీ ఒక ఎంపీని అరెస్ట్ చేయలేం. ఈరోజు నాలాంటి దాన్నో మీలాంటి దాన్నో తీసుకొచ్చి ప్రతిపక్షంలో ఉన్నప్పుడు ఎలాగోలాగా చేసేవచ్చు, ఏదైనా కేసు పెట్టవచ్చు. కానీ ఒక ఎంపీ మీద అరెస్ట్ చూపించారు అనేటప్పుడు ఎవిడెన్స్ ఉంటేనే మేము చేస్తాం.
Well, joining us for a quick face-off this evening, Vasudha, Bharatram Margani of the YSRCP and Deepak Reddy Gunapati of the TDP. Deepak Reddy, first to you. The accusation is that this is pure political vendetta and you are targeting your political opponent with this case.
Veera, I'm really shocked that YCP people can even say it's political vendetta when the evidence is so clear. And if you see the remand report, it is a 28-page remand report, and the preliminary charge sheet is 305 pages covering more than 300 different points. So the evidence is absolutely clear. High Court and Supreme Court has refused to give them bail because the evidence, the prima facie evidence is clearly visible. So let's just put aside the political vendetta part. But let's come to the actual issue here. If you see the Delhi liquor scam, the national media was talking about it for so long, and it's about 100-odd crore scam. But this particular scam in Andhra Pradesh liquor scam is between 20 to 30,000 crores. So Delhi liquor scam is like child's play front of what has happened in AP. And what's worse is you can check the medical records. More than 30,000 deaths have taken place because of the bad liquor quality, and 35 lakh people have been hospitalized with kidney and liver issues. And these are all figures which can be verified and checked.
Okay.
So prima facie, not just the size of the scam, the human toll. I mean, this is almost like a genocide.
Absolutely.
For
Okay.
the greed of money.
Your point is taken, Mr. Reddy. Let me go across to Bharatram. Bharatram, even if you call this a political vendetta, some would say that you started it with the arrest of CBN last year before elections. So, in politics, we have seen this happening quite a few times. We've seen this in my home state of, Veera's home state of Tamil Nadu as well. So, how do you justify this as being politically motivated?
Yeah, very good evening. Just give me a couple of minutes uninterrupted. I wanted to go in detail. So this so-called TDP coalition government, they are absolutely going with a vindictive politics. They are sowing vendetta. They are sowing. They need to reap again because they are sowing a bitter animosity within the public and the society. Here, I would like to ask the TDP spokesperson. Here, who is the government itself has sold the liquor itself, and they framed a policy which is I'd like to mention here. The policy itself is scrutinized by the Competition Commission of India. I would like to ask the TDP spokesperson, is there any license of distilleries was sanctioned in the time of YSR Congress party, I mean the government? There is not even a single sanction was given at the time. If there is any so-called, the so-called liquor scam, they've been quoting it. So how can it be happened? Here the liquor sales got dropped down significantly. And when it comes to the state revenue in terms of liquor, that has exponentially raised. Because when you see the figures of the last regime of Mr. Chandrababu Naidu, it was somewhere around 16,000 crores per annum. At the time of Jagan Garu's regime, it has increased significantly by about 25,000 crores. So here the transparency is very clear. When the liquor sales got down and when the revenue got increased.
I'm not interrupting you. You requested for time without interruption. You've raised a question. Let me get Deepak to answer. Deepak, he's raised a specific question.
No.
Answer.
Veera, I mean, it is really surprising to listen to this gentleman speaking like holier than thou when the evidence is absolutely clear. Not one or two. Let me just quote a couple of them. 150 to 600 rupees kickback was given with 60 crores a month. amounting to 3,570 crores with evidence
I'm still
on record.
amazed.
Gold,
What record do you
Bharatram,
have?
respond.
Have some
No,
courtesy,
what
please.
record you
Have some
have?
Bharatram,
courtesy,
I would like
respond to
to
what
ask Mr.
Deepak is
Deepak
saying.
Reddy.
Gold bills were caught in their car red-handed,
What record do they have?
running into
Is
hundreds of
there any
crores.
money trail
I mean, this is,
happened?
Veera,
I'm
this is
asking
the
Bharatram,
standard
let
operating
Mr.
procedure.
Deepak respond. We'll
When
come
the
back to
truth
you.
is coming out, they try to interrupt. Kindly mute this guy. When the truth is coming out, they can't handle it. They want to stop. They want to stop it.
It's very
Mr.
absurd.
Deepak, please go on.
No, you raise a
Shame on
question
you.
and he will
Gold bills-
respond.
Yeah.
Let's
Gold
be
bills were
clear.
found in
Bharatram raised a question, you respond, and then Bharatram, you can raise another question or respond to what Deepak says. Go ahead,
Wonderful,
Deepak. 20
wonderful.
seconds, finish your point.
Yeah. And gold bills were found in their cars, running into hundreds of crores. Hawala transactions have been found. 7 dens with Google takeout locations have been found, and they actually filmed the cash which was being put in these 7 dens each time, and the evidence in video has been found. And now this gentleman talks as if nothing has
Bharatram,
happened.
why does your
And I'm
party say
shocked.
that this is a
Bharatram,
case that
respond.
has been built on, witnesses who have been forced into these claims? Why does your party say that?
It's not one or two,
See,
Vasudha. I
No,
mean,
no,
it
no,
is a huge network.
no. Mr.
a huge
Deepak,
network.
Let Bharat speak.
Mr. Deepak is quoting and is aiding on the national media. What kind of evidence do they have, and what is the money trail happened? I'm asking straightly. And in the regime of Mr. Chandrababu Naidu, by the time there was the hand-picked distilleries, the lion's share of orders were given at the time of Chandrababu's regime. There was the scam happened by the time to divert this issue. I'm asking straightly. So when the revenue got increased and the transparency is there, so how come he can quote? If they do have an evidence, so kindly show here. Would like to see in the span of 13 months.
Revenue
what
has
kind of
increased,
money
no loss
trail
to the
they made.
exchequer. Why are you claiming a scam? Revenue has increased, no loss to the exchequer. Why are you claiming a scam is the question being raised.
Wonderful. The first thing is the gentleman representing YCP has no clue, because if you would have read the charge sheet, a 305-page charge sheet, a preliminary charge sheet, has been extremely in detail, running into more than 350 different points. So all the details are right there.
You may quote what is there in the charge sheet. You may quote it.
Yeah, one second. I would just like to put this on record. In 2018, when our government got off, there was 3.84 lakh cases of liquor being sold. When Jagan Reddy's government came in, the sales fell to 1.87 lakh. And similarly, beer, 2.77 crore cases were sold.
No. You cannot air false statements here.
Respectively, the
You
sales
cannot
fell.
air false
And
statements
this
here.
was all,
If
this
you
was
have any
all done
records,
through
just
seconds.
put it over.
Illegally, spurious liquor was manufactured and
No,
sold
last
in
20
cash
seconds, Vasudha.
in spite of
Bharatram,
we demanding
give
that
your
it has
final
to be
point.
sold in wallet. So this is the size of the magnitude. What happens in liquor is, out of every 10 rupees, 9 rupees goes for taxes. So these guys have actually did seconds, which is 30 to 40%. And that's where this huge amount of 20 to 30,000 crores have come in. So this is the fact.
Last 30 seconds, Bharatram, you respond.
See, initially, the allegation was made, there was a scam of about 50,000 crores. Initially, they have quoted. And later stage, it came down to 30,000 crores. And later stage, now to 3,000 crores. And how much money trail has been happened? How much amounts been seized by this coalition government? I've been asking straightly. Not even a single penny is being seized. So here I'm asking them, they are spinning up the stories for this media critics. I still don't understand. See, they need to prove once the liquor sales got increased exponentially,
Ultimate truth is
significantly.
whether it is any other state, Vasudha, ultimately prohibition and liquor seems to be the money spinner as far as politics is concerned.
Absolutely, Veera. And every time the argument is the same. If the revenues are increasing, why are you crying a scam? But then that is not going to be any excuse to corruption that happens, isn't it?
Right, we'll have to leave this conversation here at the moment, but we'll keep a close focus on that case and the next twist in that. But now to an update on the controversy and serious allegations surrounding the famous Dharmasthala Manjunatha Swami temple authorities. The police had to intervene and diffuse protests in the temple town after a group of people making allegations against the temple authorities began marching towards it. The Karnataka government has formed an SIT after serious allegations of rape and mass burials were made by a former sanitation worker in Dharmasthala, Vasudha.
Veera, now the former sanitary worker has made these grave allegations and he has also filed a complaint in June, and his statement was recorded before a magistrate on the 11th of July. That's the timeline. Now the SIT formed by the state government will be headed by DGP rank officer Mohan and was formed after repeated demands for a thorough investigation in this matter. Meanwhile, a Bengaluru court has granted an injunction against publishing of any defamatory content against the family that administers the Manjunatha Swami temple. CPI Rajya Sabha MP Santosh Kumar, who had raised this issue first, said that he welcomed the formation of an SIT, and he also said that a thorough investigation is necessary. This is what he said.
The CPI welcomes the decision taken by the Karnataka state government to form a special investigation team in connection with the Dharmasthala developments, and it was with a deep concern and a sense of duty that we tried to raise this issue. And during these days, the government of Karnataka was shockingly silent. I hope after continuous pressure from all corners, the government decided to form a inquiry team, and we hope truth will come out and the victims should get justice.
My former IPS officer joins me live. Sir, in a case of this nature, before the SIT, what would be the crucial next steps in the investigations, given that some of these allegations date back to more than 3 decades?
I think the most important part is, as currently where we stand, that we need an immediate and comprehensive protection of the whistleblower. There are varieties of cases we have heard of happen in Andhra Pradesh, where we find people only disappearing. So that is the first and the most important thing. I think huge amount of details have been given by the whistleblower in the 183 BNS statement with the magistrate. So I think that has to be taken care of. I think both the complaint and the statement before the magistrate, they have to be put together, studied, and then first steps have to be taken. What is most important is the nature of scientific exhumation. So first you decide on the burial sites based on whatever whistleblower has told so far. And then the exhumation of those burial sites, which are not standard burial sites, is extremely important. And only through that exercise, we will be able to get the remains of the people who have been killed and buried. So that is the most critical thing. And suffice to say that this exhumation, which is currently done by the police, in normal cases, one dead body or so, at the exhumation, people are perfectly fine with it. But in the nature of the exhumation which you're talking about, which might run into areas which are not proper burial grounds, or it can run into numbers which might be dozens, to say the least. So there you need people like forensic pathologists, you need forensic anthropologists, you need forensic archaeologists. So there are a variety of specialists who need to be put with the current team. So that becomes very, very critical and very, very important. The documentation of the exhumation is very important, because of the documentation of the exhumation, I think everything will rely on that particular documentation. And the next important step would be the DNA.
Right.
So DNA fingerprinting will finally establish as to whether the connect is there to those particular cases. What is commendable is that the government of Karnataka has given a very comprehensive mandate to the SIT, which is not limited to the present case filed by the whistleblower. It covers nearly all the cases in any police station of Karnataka in this time span of 1995 to 2014. And I would safely believe that if there's something earlier also or later also, I think that will finally be added.
You're making a very important point, but there will be questions raised as to why there was a delay in forming of the SIT as well. So we'll keep a close watch on that. Thanks very much there, Sanjay Sahai there, Vasudha. This is a case we'll keep a close watch on. But now to an interesting twist to the DMK's membership drive in Tamil Nadu. Vasudha, the Madurai bench of the Madras High Court today restrained the ruling party from collecting Aadhaar numbers and OTPs from the public as part of its ongoing membership drive.
That's right, Veera. While allowing the drive to continue till it finishes, hearing a PIL alleging that the DMK's drive violated privacy laws, the High Court has passed an interim order barring the DMK from collecting Aadhaar numbers and also verification OTPs from people. Now, the petitioner in this case argued that the DMK was collecting Aadhaar numbers, ration card details, voter IDs, bank passbooks, and also mobile numbers, and using the OTP verification process to build a database for political propaganda.
Well, there are multiple dimensions to this case, Vasudha, and the heat is on in Tamil Nadu ahead of 2026. Sam Daniel has the details.
The Madurai bench of the Madras High Court has restrained the ruling DMK in Tamil Nadu from collecting Aadhaar details and OTP as part of its membership enrollment drive. The public interest litigation, represented by an AIADMK advocate, says the ruling party demands Aadhaar details, ration card and voter ID card besides the mobile phone number, after which public enrolling as members are required to share the OTP. The petition claims that Aadhaar details can be collected only by authorized entities for specific purposes, largely for government benefits, and that the DMK is not one such authorized entity. The petition also alleges that the ruling party intimidates members or public that if they do not share these details, the women and their families could lose the monthly 1,000 rupee assistance. The court has also issued notice to the Unique Identification Authority of India besides the Election Commission, but has allowed the ruling DMK to continue with its membership drive. The DMK has denied any coercion on their part to get Aadhaar details. The party says it cannot authenticate Aadhaar through any kind of OTP, and what they do is a simple OTP verification to verify the mobile number given by public who want to become members of the DMK. They claim it's purely voluntary and nobody is forced to become members of the party. The DMK has set a target of enrolling at least 30% of voters in Tamil Nadu as its members in the run-up to the 2026 assembly elections.
Well, from politics in Tamil Nadu, now to a final goodbye to a freedom fighter, veteran communist leader and former Chief Minister of Kerala, the inimitable V.S. Achyutanandan. Known for his fiery leadership, the 101-year-old comrade from Alappuzha had withdrawn from public life over the last few years. He led the LDF to victory in 2006 and lost an extremely close election in 2011, Vasudha, by 2 seats and less than 1% vote share in an anti-incumbency state.
That's right. Achyutanandan was an opposition leader in the state for 3 terms, Veera. A dominant figure in Kerala politics for several decades. He was the last of the 32 founding members of the CPM in 1964 to depart. Clearly an end of an era for Kerala politics. He was a charismatic leader, but his remarks have also sparked controversies. He had receded from public life after a stroke in 2019, and he passed away in a hospital in Thiruvananthapuram due to a cardiac arrest earlier today.
Well, end of an era there for Kerala politics. Jomi Thomas, Chief of Bureau of Malayalam Manorama, joins us live here. Jomi, in your words, describe to us the life and times of V.S. Achyutanandan.
As Vasudha was saying, we lost one of the great, I would say, the last popular politician in Kerala. See, a clean communist, I would say a die-hard communist, though one can see kind of, Stalinist tendencies in him. But he was a fighter in the party, outside the party, and the kind of issues he took up, the kind of means, I think, he joined the party, means CPI, at the age of 17. And I think it was in 1940. Then, as Vasudha said, in 1964, on April 11th, when the party was split in the National Council of the CPI in Calcutta, the Tyagaraja Hall, I think he was one of the 32 members who walked out of the Tyagaraja Hall and formed the Communist Party of India, Marxist. Interestingly, I would say, as a chief minister also, he made tremendous, interesting contributions for the public life in Kerala. Administrative reforms were there, and later on, after stepping down as a chief minister, while Pinarayi Vijayan government came in 2016, he was made the chairman of the Administrative Reforms Commission also. But if you see, when you say, okay, he was an old-fashioned communist, but during his tenure as a chief minister, we saw the implementation of free software in the schools of Kerala. There were technoparks set up in many parts of the state. And he took up major issues, particularly concerning the rights of women.
Yeah.
Sorry?
He almost became a chief minister for the second term in 2011, lost that election narrowly.
Second term, but the interesting fact is that in 2006 and in 2011, the party formally decided not to give a ticket to V.S. Achyutanandan.
Okay.
There was public protest. Then the party had to convince the state unit and, agreed to field him as a candidate.
Right.
So he had to fight within the party also because, he always stood for clean politics.
Okay, Jomi also help us understand. I was looking at Ramesh Chennithala's post, and he says that Achyutanandan was a spirited leader. We were on different sides of the spectrum, but we always had a sense of mutual respect. How was he to the opponents of his politics?
See, that way I would say, because when it came to, dealing with the opponents also, he was such a difficult person, a difficult politician to deal with. And, there are, if you see the way what happened with the finance minister like K. Mani, or even, not just, even A.K. Antony, all those politicians, even K. Karunakaran. He was an LDF convener. He was LDF convener, though he was MLA for 7 times. But he was more, active as LDF convener. Then, even as he was very effective opposition leader. As you mentioned, he was there for 15 years as the opposition leader. And coming to Delhi, interestingly, he had a pillar of support in Sitaram Yechuri. That itself, that shows, the division in the party. If people like Prakash Karat or others, supported Pinarayi Vijayan, and we had a support, Sitaram Yechuri supporting V.S. Achyutanandan and his style of politics in Kerala. I remember once Sitaram telling me, that people like Surjit used to tell Sitaram and other comrades also that you should learn from people like V.S. Achyutanandan, the kind of politics, because when you talk about communist politics, it's mainly focused and it is for the common man. And people like V.S. Achyutanandan, they were not communist theoreticians.
Right.
But they always fought for the common man. And if you see the political, the history of V.S. Achyutanandan's political life, he started with the choir workers, organizing the choir workers. That way he was a great organizer too.
Right.
Like Jomit rightly said, the last
there,
mass leader of Kerala. Thank you, Jomi Thomas, Chief of Bureau, Malayalam Manorama, joining us with those insights from a green warrior to a leader who leaves behind a rich political legacy and somebody who was seen as an epitome of struggle. Veera, our tributes and condolences to V.S. Achyutanandan, who has passed away earlier today.
Hello, Moto.
Motorola. India's leading AI smartphone brand.
That's huge! That is a biggie! It's out of there!
Gold Plus Clear Glass. Car ho ya near, sab kuch dikhe clear.
Fenesta Windows. Beautiful and durable designs. इंस्टॉलेशन से मेंटेनेंस की लाइफ लॉन्ग कस्टमर सर्विस. आपके घर में फिनेस्टा नहीं है तो कॉल कीजिए.
Fine Finer Fenesta. जनता के पास सवाल ही सवाल है. जवाब ढूंढने को वो देखती है न्यूज़ और देखती है यहाँ तो सवालों का माया जाल है. ऊपर से ये अलग फाइट है. कोई पूरा लेफ्ट तो कोई पूरा राइट है. बीच में मुद्दे के साथ कौन है, जनता को जवाब चाहिए. इसीलिए सवालों की परेड नहीं, मैं लाऊंगा खबरों की कचहरी. मैं शुभांकर मिश्रा. मेरे साथ देखिए कचहरी रात 8 बजे सिर्फ NDTV इंडिया पर.
But I'd like to start this off by asking you, Vishnu, what you think about the whole question of India not having stealth fighters right now.
It's a huge
Everyone's
problem.
trying to sell them to us as well.
It's a huge problem, Shiv. Let's face it, in as much as we love the Rafale aircraft and the Indian Air Force is completely vouching for it, perhaps they'd like more than 100 more. The Indian Navy has just gotten into an order for 26 Rafale M aircraft. There is a generation gap between the Rafale and the stealth. There is a good reason why a stealth platform is called a 5th generation aircraft and a Rafale is a 4th or 4.5 generation aircraft, and that is low observability. So in as much as the Rafale has brilliant sensors, both in terms of its radar, its defensive suite, its electronic warfare suite, its towed array decoy system, it is not typically a low observability platform in quite the same manner in which a stealth aircraft is. Its design form is different. And therefore, if Pakistan does have low observable aircraft, which would be the J-35, in fact, the first ones might even start entering service or coming into the PAF ahead of entering service at some time this year, then India is in trouble.
So
Why?
this year? Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
The first could actually start coming in this year. They're really pushing for it. And they've gotten apparently into some agreement with the Chinese to ensure that the funding is done on very loose and terms favorable to Pakistan, as has been in the case in the past. If Pakistan starts acquiring low platforms which are low observable, in other words, stealth platforms, then that's an additional headache for the Indian Air Force, because tracking stealth aircraft requires a certain specialization. It's much more difficult. The time that you have to actually engage a potential stealth target is reduced greatly, and therefore, it's a problem.
I've been reporting on all issues, big and small, from Andhra Pradesh, Telangana, rest of South India, bringing you all the action, all that you need to know, all that you want to know.
The energy of Maximum City is infectious. I'm bringing that energy in our news coverage from financial capital Mumbai.
Covering from the southernmost part of India over the last 23 years, I bring in-depth and 360-degree coverage from the Dravidian heartland.
The land of Mishti, also known for its bitter politics. I have seen much water flow under the Howrah Bridge, covering Bengal in all its vivid colors.
India's IT capital is always bustling, a city full of startups, stories and surprises. And I keep you ahead on all the Bengaluru buzz.
The markets move fast.
And so should your portfolio.
Hello, Moto.
Motorola, India's leading AI smartphone brand.
Welcome back. You're with the Southern View, but some breaking news that's coming in now of incidents around Air India, Vasudha.
That's right, Veera. 2 Air India incidents have taken place in one day and tragedies have been averted. Investigation is going on. My colleague Vishnu Shom joins us with more details. Vishnu, what do we know so far in this case?
Well, there are 2 incidents which have taken place. I wouldn't go so far as to say that a tragedy is averted, but one of them was quite close. That was an Air India jetliner on a flight from Cochin to Mumbai, which veered off the runway in Mumbai airport upon touching down. There's been damage to the aircraft, there's been damage to the runway, to various signs, and the pilot pulled the aircraft out of the muck using the engine's power and got it to the landing bay where passengers were taken out. Both of the pilots have been derostered, and now what we are learning is a second incident on a flight between Delhi and Kolkata. An Airbus A321 was on its takeoff run and at a speed of 84 knots, which was 155 kilometers an hour, the pilot rejected the takeoff. In other words, slowed down hit the brakes essentially, slowed down the aircraft and got off the runway. Now the reasons for this taking place at this stage we do not know, but as far as Air India is concerned, it is a bit of a coincidence and a poor one, a sad one, that it's happening on a day when AI 171, the Ahmedabad crash, has been discussed in Parliament. And in a striking statement, the Minister of State for Civil Aviation, Muralidhar Mohol, in the Rajya Sabha, speaking about safety and Air India, said, and I quote, "During the last 6 months, a total of 9 show-cause notices have been issued to Air India in connection with identified safety violations."
Right. Thank you, Vishnu, for joining us with those details. Moving on to other stories now, as Vishnu was also talking about. Breaking news now. Vishnu is here with us. This is a turbulent time for Air India, as Vishnu has been talking about. 6 show-cause notices in 6 months have been given out, and this is as per response of the government in the Rajya Sabha today. Remember, there was a question hour where MPs asked questions on air safety. Vishnu, help us understand what kind of violations, how many violations have happened in the last 6 months? What is the government saying with regard to this?
In the last 6 months, Vasudha, 9 show-cause violations, 9 show-cause notices have been issued to Air India in connection with 5 identified safety violations. So the total number of safety violations were 5, but some of them possibly attracted more than 1 show-cause notice. The Director General of Civil Aviation is absolutely clear that flight safety in India has to be paramount. We are growing at an unprecedented speed in terms of civil aviation. There are a lot of young pilots out there, a lot of young engineers out there. The levels of experience go between very experienced to not experienced at all, and therefore the need for urgent standards is important. This was a statement in the Rajya Sabha. In the Lok Sabha, I can also tell you that a question was asked today on why the Director General of Civil Aviation is severely understaffed. Why are there more than 100 odd positions which are still there? And the answer to that was, look, we are trying to recruit. We do understand that there is an urgent need to fill up places in the DGCA, but it is going to take time because the skill set required of people joining is not something that you can easily pick up. So we have to institutionally we need to catch up with the pace at which civil aviation is growing, but the safety standards of airlines, the training of pilots, the training of engineers, and the ability to deal with difficult situations as we've seen today is something that needs to be looked at very, very closely indeed. This is difficult times, particularly for Air India. We've only been speaking about AI 171, Veera and Vasudha, but just look at what happened today. 2 incidents, one of them fairly serious.
Right. As you rightly point out, Vishnu, every incident in aviation will be taken very seriously, and it's extremely important to take these things very seriously, as you point out. We'll keep a close watch on that here at NDTV with Vishnu. Trust him to get us the first updates on those.
Right. Meanwhile, Veera, Union Civil Aviation Minister Mohan Naidu, addressing the Parliament today, strongly defended the Aircraft Accident Investigation Bureau's report and also the handling of Air India 171 crash probe, calling the investigation unbiased and fact-based. Mr. Naidu said that it followed global ICAO norms and was insulated from speculative theories, especially those floating in Western media that hint at pilot error.
Crucially, Naidu announced that India decoded black box data domestically for the first time, a significant milestone. He confirmed the preliminary report is not the final word and a conclusive report with the root cause findings and safety recommendations would take up to a year, Vasudha.
That's right, Veera. This comes in the midst of sensitive findings, the fuel control switches that some people have suggested were manually turned off, leading to sudden engine shutdown seconds after takeoff. Yet there's no clarity on who did this, with both pilots denying responsibility in cockpit recordings. Meanwhile, no defects have been found in Boeing 787 fleet switches or systems. So the big question is what really happened and what kind of learnings do we get from this incident? We will be joined by a panel of experts. We have but first, let's take a look at what Mohan Naidu said today.
And it was for the first time that as a country, India took a stand that the black box which was achieved, even if it was damaged, that the whole decoding process is going to happen in the country. And we have successfully done it in the country also. The AIB has been successful. Have a decoding the entire data with correction measures. We have to look at the final report, sir. And I can say this to the House and through you to the people of this country also, that the AIB has a very definitive, thorough, rule-based process. They are very transparently looking into the process right now, and they are totally unbiased. This also I can say that the AIB is totally unbiased and looking into the facts. We want to stand by the truth. We want to find out what exactly happened, and that is only going to be coming out once the final report has been placed.
Well, Captain Ishan Khalid, the commercial pilot, joins us now. He's also a civil aviation expert. We also have Captain Saurabh Bhatnagar, former senior captain for Indigo. Thank you both of you for joining me on this broadcast. Captain Khalid, how do you look at the aviation minister's speech in the parliament and the floor of the House today, defending not just pilots but also taking on Western media narratives?
It's a good thing. I congratulate the aviation minister for having taken on the Western media narrative. However, we as pilots in Indian aerospace feel that the AIB report, what came out, also gave birth to speculations and the various narratives on which the Western media is basing their story upon. A was that the flight switches transitioned from run to cutoff. Number two was a two-liner of the CVR talking. And number three was there was nothing found wrong with the aircraft or the engine. So if you put these three things, there is not much left for the Western media to say that it is their story. It is very much, the ground rules are laid in the preliminary report. There was no requirement to say that there was nothing wrong found in the whole thing, because we went on to check the fuel switches position, and there, even if that was mentioned, there was an option for it. Now coming back to this, the whole theory of the Western media that's going on is based upon the fact that the electrical switch was physically moved, and that is the only way the engine can cut off. While the fact is that those switches are electrical switches, they have discrete data, 1-bit data, cutoff is 0 and run is 1. And if there is an electrical signal that has malfunctioned, it will go ahead and switch off the engine. Now that is something which was ruled out by the AIB by saying there is nothing found to be wrong with the aircraft. Okay, if they would not have said that, there was no compulsion of saying this. If they would not have said that, then all this theory would have been baseless, that, the pilot did this, pilot did that, or else we should have had the full information. Right. And the second thing is that, it's right to say that we should not come to any kind of a conclusion, or we should not speculate.
Let me just get Captain Saurabh Bhatnagar as well in. Captain Bhatnagar, you heard what Captain Ishan was saying. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I agree with Captain Khalid, but I have been saying all along, right from the beginning, this preliminary report throws more questions than answers. A lot of loopholes people have found out. Nobody is seeing that from 08084 to where everything is. Till that time everything was fine. Thereafter, it says the rat started supplying power to the hydraulic pump in 5 seconds. It cannot happen. That itself takes 3 to 4 seconds to get deployed. and it takes 2 to 3 seconds to for to open and supply the pump. So that means even if rat comes out after 0842, 080842 and 43, because 1 second it says switches both switched off. That means at 080843 the rat and 4 second rat is supplying power also. How this is possible? That means the rat must have been deployed
Sorry to cut
before
you
it.
short, Captain Patnagar, completely out of time there, and this is an evolving subject, and the final report is also expected in the after 6 months. So we are going to continue debating this. Thank you both of you for joining us on this broadcast. Will accountability and transparency, continue being the flashpoints, continue being the goalposts when it comes to aircraft? Investigation is what matters, Veera. But moving on to that most important highlight today, the monsoon session of the Parliament kicked off with intense uproar and adjournments as opposition parties stormed both houses today, demanding immediate discussions on Operation Sindoor. And also they wanted a discussion on Pahalgam terror attack. They also raised the Air India crash. Now, the day was dominated by tabling of the Income Tax Bill 2025. The government also showcased other bills, but then there was a lot of chaos and clutter. So the day was completely marked by adjournments, and we are hoping to have a constructive, session in the coming days.
Well, it's a hope for the moment. The Lok Sabha saw repeated adjournments. As Vasudha mentioned, India bloc MPs raised slogans demanding accountability over the Kashmir encounter and recent governance failures, while Speaker Om Birla urged calm and promised time-bound discussion. The government focused on legislative business, introducing major bills and unveiling a tech-enabled digital attendance system for MPs. Prime Minister Narendra Modi chaired a high-level strategy meeting inside Parliament House along with key ministers. Home Minister Amit Shah, JP Nadda, Rajnath Singh, Nirmala Sitharaman as well, to coordinate the government's legislative push and counter opposition attacks during the monsoon session.
That's right, Veera. To balance governance with accountability, the government has reportedly proposed time-bound debates on sensitive national issues in the midst of a packed legislative agenda. This also comes after the opposition put a lot of pressure seeking answers. Now, hours allocated to the Indian Post Bill is about 3 hours, income tax about 12 hours, National Sports Bill, which is going to be the highlight of the session, 8 hours, Manipur budget will be given about 2 hours, but 16 hours discussion on Operation Sindoor. TDP has demanded a discussion on the 50 years of emergency as well, and there are also some MPs like Anurag Thakur who said that it's very important to have a discussion on the flood situation in Himachal Pradesh. But 16 hours of Operation Sindoor debate, that is going to be a major highlight. What happens next? Can we expect a session with a constructive dialogue? Remains a key question. J.B. Mathur of the Congress Party MP joins us, also Charu Pragya of the BJP. Thank you both of you for joining me today, ladies. J.B. Mathur, today, all of you I heard had to come through different doors. So clearly there's tech in the new parliament, and also the government agreeing on a lot of your demands, saying that there is room for every discussion that you ask for. Are you finally happy with that?
First of all, the opposition, the Congress Party, the India bloc had given unconditional support to this government because we wanted the morale of the army in the defense to be totally a big boost for them. And it was not the case that we took up any of the issues. We gave unconditional support, but we had demanded for the special session. And it is only because the opposition gave this kind of pressure, the government has allotted 16 hours for Operation Sindoor. The questions remains unanswered. All the 3 months have passed. Already there's a lot of delay. The nation doesn't know, the people doesn't know, the MPs and the parliament is still in the dark on what happened to the terrorists, whether they are arrested, whether they are killed, what happened, nobody knows. And even the Prime Minister is silent about that, and so it is very important that we discuss this matter, and the government should be willing to discuss and debate and give the details. It should not be like an eyewash. Again, like how Prime Minister speaks or how the Defence Minister speaks. See, the real crucial questions should be answered. The Lieutenant Governor of Jammu and Kashmir, they have said that there's been an intelligence and security failure. What is that? What is the situation? So even those connected with the defense forces have mentioned such things. So it should not be an eyewash discussion or debate. The government should come out clean and come out with details on what exactly happens, especially
Pragya?
on Donald Trump.
Don't want a
claiming
debate for
24
optics, says
times
the
that it
opposition.
is the
Wants a
President
debate in
of
spirit with
United
substantial
States.
answers.
President of United States that who went
Let
who
Charu
did the
respond now. JB, let
mediation,
Charu
and it
speak.
is upon his request.
Very good evening to you. May I speak now? Thank you very much. Good evening to everyone. It's very unfortunate that we've set a pattern of making the first day of every parliament session a day of ruckus, of disruption. It's so unfortunate. And as our speaker said, everyone is watching. It's shameful that members of parliament, honorable members of parliament, cannot maintain decorum even on the first day. In 20 minutes of the house coming into order, it was adjourned twice. That is how shameful the behavior of the opposition MPs is becoming. Yes, the government has already agreed to discuss Operation Sindoor. You demanded it, Jebby. The government has agreed. Why the ruckus then? You were given 16 hours. Let the 16 hours come. You should have at least allowed the parliament to function for 16 hours before storming into the well. And this is what is unfortunate. And this is a pattern that I would like to bring to everybody's attention. Every single session of parliament, the opposition comes armed with placards. Not discussions on policy. They come armed with slogans. They are not concerned about...
Yeah, Charu, one more question to you. I was in the parliament today, and I do believe that today all that the opposition was asking was a debate on Operation Sindoor, which I believe is very good for the BJP because you also have been talking about it.
We've already said that.
But why couldn't you have... No, but why couldn't you have started the debate? You know, question hour could have been... Was question hour so important that you didn't want to let that go?
No. So, Vasudha, look at this at this entire situation from a reasonable point of view. Here's the reasonable point of view. We want to discuss Operation Sindoor. Government says yes. Then, oh my God, our issue has been hijacked. Now, what do we say? We want to discuss Operation Sindoor, but now. This is the way they function, shifting the goalpost. See, it shouldn't matter to you, the order of the discussion, because I believe every single issue raised in Parliament is of utmost national importance, isn't it? Every single bill which is being tabled is of utmost national importance. Every issue the opposition wants to discuss, yes, is also important and we are willing to do it. And I fail to understand why would you create a ruckus before these so-called 16 hours were over. If you didn't get your say in those 16 hours, by all means,
respond to that. The government had already said yes. In fact, Kiran Rijiju, the Parliamentary Affairs Minister, Rajnath Singh, the Defence Minister, stood up and promised you multiple times that discussions will take place on any topic under the sun. Why didn't the opposition cede that kind of space?
3 months have passed, still the nation is in the darkness, and so we had to, see, the role of opposition is we had to demand, and we demanded. And talking about ruckus, I want to bring here, today, the BJP National President, the Leader of the House, Honorable Leader of the House, JP Nadda ji, what did he say in the House? He said, only what I say will go on record, only nothing else will go on record. Is that for the Leader of the House to say? It is like demoralizing the chair itself. But if it would have come from opposition, it would have been different. So talking about ruckus today, BJP National President Law School is what we want to say. See, it is our duty to ensure that this discussion happens, and we had to demand it. This government's progress card all these years has been, we have to repeatedly ask, and taking Manipur example, months and months.
Quickly respond to that, Charu Pragya. What can be expected in the next 31 days? 31 days. This is a long session, so clearly.
In the morning of Manipur.
Yes. Okay, Charu Pragya, please.
Because they don't want the nation to know. They don't want the nation to hear.
Completely running out of
Charu,
time here.
Quickly respond to that,
So I think that's the agenda the opposition wants to set, right? Paparazzi over policy discussions. Every single time you come armed to disrupt. And I keep repeating that because it's of utmost importance. You want to talk about Manipur, fair enough. But what did happen when our Prime Minister actually stood up to talk about Manipur? You staged a walkout. Again, a synchronized walkout. Does that show your seriousness for any discussion on any topic? It doesn't. It doesn't. And we cannot become a parliament which the whole country is observing with distaste, because that is what it has come
completely
down
out of time. Thank you both of you for joining us on this broadcast. The next few days
But there's a lot of time left in Parliament this session, Vasudha.
Yes, the next few days, Veera, will decide whether this session becomes a forum for real debate or just another battlefield for slogans and silences. 16 students, 2 teachers and a pilot killed after a Bangladeshi Air Force jet crashes into a college in Dhaka. Justice Verma impeachment case in Rajya Sabha, cash haul scandal, High Court judge to be impeached. Prime Minister chairs high-level meet, Home Minister, Defence Minister present at this meeting. Air India Mumbai incident, exclusive details on the accident that occurred at Mumbai airport as a flight from Kochi veered off the runway. It broke airport signatures and also the engine was damaged. Both pilots have been de-rostred.
Presented by Canara Bank. Together we can.
तू ही तो है जिसकी सच्चाई वाली क्लैरिटी की वजह से मैं आज यहाँ हूँ।
गोल्ड प्लस सिल्वॉक्सी मिरर्स, ऐसी क्लैरिटी कि आपको सिर्फ सच नजर आए, चाहे कितने भी साल बीत जाएं।
फिनिस्टा विंडोज, ब्यूटीफुल एंड ड्यूरेबल डिजाइन्स, इंस्टॉलेशन से मेंटेनेंस की लाइफ लॉन्ग कस्टमर सर्विस। आपके घर में फिनिस्टा नहीं है तो कॉल कीजिए।
फाइनर फिनिस्टा।
कहना इस दीवार पे इतने इश्तहार चिपके हैं कि कोई दरार नजर नहीं आती। मैं उन लोगों में से जो कहता हूँ सारे इश्तहार फाड़ के फेंको, पहले दरार को एड्रेस करो।
ये दरार इसलिए क्योंकि कुछ लेफ्ट कुछ राइट, पर हम उन मुद्दों में आपके साथ जिनसे आपकी फाइट है। डिजिटल से देश समझा, अब टीवी पर समाधान लाना है। आइए मेरे साथ खबरों की कचहरी में, सिर्फ NDTV पर।
Some say sport is a matter of life and death. The truth is, it is far more serious than that. Sport is about ecstasy and agony, about pain and suffering, about joy and much more. Some say there's no one better to tell these stories. So here I am. Join me, Boria Majumdar, on India's #1 news network.
Well, in the latest episode of Control All Defense, we are talking about a platform that all of you want to hear about, that's Tejas. The big question, we do know it's a great platform, but is it of use for the Indian Air Force going into the future? How relevant will it remain?
A 36-hour non-stop flight by a small pack of B-2s. A lot of other aircraft were also involved, we know that. But let's talk about the B-2 flight itself. They took off from Missouri. 36 hours later, they landed back without once landing. They delivered their bombs 18 hours later over Iran and then came back. How was this possible? Because the Department of Defense says at no point of time on this 36-hour journey was there any reason to believe that they were either detected or reacted to?
Well, they weren't detected, because if they were, then they'd be in some serious trouble. It's one of the most unbelievable missions, one of the most historic long-range strike missions. There were 7 B-2s, which by B-2 standards is a fair number of them. There was deception in the very beginning. There was a sense that some of them were flying west across the Pacific. In fact, they weren't. And even if a few planes were positioned in one area, they were not going to be flying the Pacific route.
That was the big distraction.
On social media said, you see the bombers, they're now flying west, so you know what's coming your way. But no. They flew them east across the Atlantic. There were 125 aircraft in total involved. Refuelers were involved at every stage. There were fighter aircraft which linked up 4th generation and 5th generation planes, 5th generation being stealth aircraft. And then after an 18-hour flight one way, right, they shortly before they struck their targets, which was primarily Fordo, using a remarkable weapon which we'll talk about called the GBU-57, 30,000-pound weapon.
Monster.
Before that took place, there were several land attack cruise missiles launched from American submarines and possibly destroyers as well.
Good evening and a very warm welcome to India Matters on Monday night. It's a season of absolute aviation tragedy, and today we've got a story coming in from our neighbor in Bangladesh, and the reason why we've decided to put the spotlight on it at the top of it is because of the sheer death toll. That's the big story right now. Fighter crash that has shocked the entire world has taken place just a few hours ago in Dhaka, the capital of Bangladesh. The horrifying fallout of this fighter crash that has killed 19 people in a school compound. A Chinese-made F-7 fighter jet of the Bangladesh Air Force, the mainstay of the Bangladesh Air Force, smashed right into a junior school, killing 16 students, the pilot, and 2 other people. 16 young students in a Dhaka school have been killed by a crashing fighter aircraft, making this one of the worst aviation tragedies in Bangladesh for certain, and almost everywhere else in the world as well. This fighter jet lost control. We don't know what happened, but it crashed straight into the school. 19 people are dead. Prime Minister Modi has issued a statement condoling the deaths of 19 people, including 16 young students. This was a made-in-China fighter aircraft called an F-7 that was supplied to the Bangladesh Air Force many years ago and continues to be the mainstay of the Bangladesh Air Force. This is a ground report from just a short while ago.
At least 19 people were killed as a Bangladesh Air Force training aircraft were crashed into a school and college campus in the city at Uttura. And you know, it's a name Milestone School and College, and already 50 severely injured students were admitted into Dhaka Medical College Hospital. And if I want to show you that, you see the Bangladesh military, Bangladesh Air Force, and different wing of Bangladesh my law enforcing agencies are here to assess the students, and there are many obstacles in the school, and you know that there are the students of Milestone School and College. They are in front of the campus, and they are trying to rescue the students. And you know, already more than 50 people, including children and adults, were hospitalized with burn. The incident occurred in Milestone School and College in Dhaka, northern area of Uttura. Officials say that Bangladesh Air Force F-7 BGI training aircraft crashed in Uttura. The aircraft took off at 1:06. The military's public relations department, ISPR, said the media, and already the DG, Director General of Rapid Action Battalion, said to the media that 19 people already died, and more than 50 people are injured in the hospital, in different hospitals. And you know, the officials of Dhaka Medical College Hospital said that more than 30 people were in more than 30 injured students were admitted at Dhaka Medical College burn unit, and the AMZ hospital is situated in Uttura, and they also admitted 10 injured students, and the combined military hospital also admitted 5 people. And you see, there is a military officials, and they also trying to assist this incident, and this incident is totally human incident, and we will try to update you time to time. Thank you, Batan Biplab from Dhaka, Bangladesh.
Horrifying images right there at that Dhaka school in which 19 people, including 16 students, have been killed. This is the aircraft that actually crashed. It's called the F-7. It's a mainstay of the Bangladesh Air Force, supplied by the Chinese, who have always had very questionable quality when it comes to military hardware. This is the fighter of the Bangladesh Air Force, for reasons so far unknown, that has crashed straight into a school. Now, I want to show you where this aircraft took off from, because there are many unanswered questions right now. It took off from the Hazrat Shah Jalal International Airport in Dhaka and crashed straight into the Milestone School and College campus just about 7 kilometers away. Literally on that trajectory, parallel to the runway, the aircraft took off almost like a ballistic missile, if I can say that. Takes off from there and crashes 8 kilometers away straight into the school. We still don't know whether it tried to move away, whether there was some other kind of emergency, what altitude it finally reached before crashing. And you may be wondering, viewer, why I'm talking about a fighter aircraft crash in another country. Fighter aircraft crash all the time. Well, not every time does a fighter crash result in the deaths of 19 people, 16 of them school students. And this is a made-in-China fighter, remember, and China supplies these fighters to Bangladesh, Pakistan and other countries. Here are the questions I'm asking, and then we will bring in fighter aircraft veterans who can explain or help us understand why this may have happened. Number one, why didn't or why couldn't the pilot have ejected? The F-7 is known to have an ejection seat. This was a trainer aircraft, but only one pilot was in it. Why did the pilot not, or was he not able to eject? Number two, why did this fighter aircraft need to overfly Dhaka? Now, this is an aircraft like I showed you in that map, which was taking off from the international airport in Dhaka. So obviously it needed to fly over Dhaka itself, though there may have been some restrictions. We will know once the investigation happens. Number three, did the pilot stay in the jet to attempt a diversion away from a built-up area? Was he trying to avoid, did he make any attempt to avoid the school? And that's the reason why he stayed in the aircraft. Number four, with the F-7 aircraft as its backbone, as its mainstay, is the Bangladesh Air Force at risk of being saddled with vintage aircraft that are of very low quality? And finally, number five, does this accident put a glare on the upkeep of China-built aircraft in general and particularly in Bangladesh? There have been many things that have been said about the questionable quality of Chinese fighters. Does this add to that in the light of the horrible tragedy that has played out at the Milestone School in Dhaka? Let's go across to two fighter aircraft veterans joining us on this very, very tragic story to try and make sense of how something like this could have happened. I repeat, Group Captain Ajay Alawat is an Indian Air Force veteran pilot. Captain Reza is a former airline pilot, and he's also served as a combat fighter pilot with the Bangladesh Air Force. He joins us live from Dhaka. Thank you, gentlemen, for being with me. This is a very, very sad day. 19 people, including the pilot of that Bangladesh Air Force F-7, are dead. 16 students are dead. It is an unusual tragedy in which, so many casualties have been inflicted on the ground. Captain Reza, I'd like to come to you first. We've just shown our viewers a map of where this happened as well. Are you able to share with us how something like this could have happened? Captain Reza, to you first.
Yeah, as I look at the map, okay, my name is Captain Reza. I was in the Air Force before, so I'm an airline captain.
Yes.
As I see, this is on the takeoff path, and I flew many times on this route. So it had something went wrong after the takeoff, right straight to the takeoff path.
Yeah.
And it crashed. I don't know what happened. Investigation is underway. It is too early to conclude anything, but I'm sure there will be findings in the future. My prediction is that the aircraft has had some kind of mechanical trouble after the liftoff.
How high would the aircraft have been, Captain Reza? Is it possible to tell what altitude the aircraft would have achieved before crashing at this distance?
Yeah, I think it's about 7 to 8 miles. So it should have achieved, it should have gone up to like between 5,000 to 7,000 feet.
Group Captain Alawat, I want to bring you in on this right now. The map shows us that this aircraft has taken off, and it's almost a straight line parallel to the runway to that school where it crashed about 7 to 8 kilometers away. We do know that it's difficult to speculate. Many things may have happened. There could be bird strikes. There could be, other things that may have happened. What is your best guess with the very limited information we have right now?
Shiv, good evening, and let me start this with heartfelt condolences for the pilot, his family, and the victims on ground. You know, a warrior has gone down with the state today, and as a friendly neighbor, our heart goes out to the pilot, the squadron, and also the victims on the ground. And having said that, you know, that is the thing with single engine fighters. F-7 BGI is the same family of MiG-21s. You know, China call it J-7, Pakistan call it F-7 PG, Bangladesh uses a similar version of BGI. Not exactly same, but similar. So it was a typical single engine fighter takeoff profile. The aircraft got airborne, went straight up. And considering that the airfield is very close to populated areas, there would be some restriction on when the first turn towards the sector or the area of operation could be executed. So typically, you would want to get away from the ground and far from the town before you execute anything. In this particular case, it looks like after getting airborne, since there is only one engine, the pilot had trouble with that. We don't have access to the communication between the pilot and the air traffic control. But should something go wrong, the immediate option with the pilot is to eject, because there is not enough altitude to fix the engine, you know, kind of shut it down and relight. But we've seen it in India as well as other parts of the country. You know, as a pilot sitting in the cockpit, when you see the entire city laid in front of you, there is a tendency to kind of steer the aeroplane towards an area which looks clear of population. It is quite possible the pilot, you know, probably thought of pointing the aircraft in a direction on an area which could cause least amount of damage on the ground before attempting ejection. And probably, I'm just speculating, by then it was too late.
Really terrifying to even imagine that the pilot, you know, seeing what was in front of him, may have valiantly tried to steer the aircraft away to an open area, and by then it was too late to eject. I'll come to the question on ejection in just a moment. But Captain Reza, the F-7 is a fighter that is considered to be the mainstay of the Bangladesh Air Force. It is a derivative of the MiG-21, which we in India also operate. What is the reputation of this aircraft, sir, in Bangladesh? In India, the MiG-21, you know, there are many mixed views about it. There have been many accidents as well. Is the F-7 also an unsafe aircraft, as some people believe it is?
I wouldn't say that, because the MiG-21, when they did the reverse engineering on that, when I was in Air Force, the Chinese people came and we had MiG-21 from the Egyptian Air Force back in 70s. So they tore it down in front of us, and they have been doing this reverse engineering. When this was bought first time in 1988, I believe, or 89, the whole new batch came in. We did not have many of the trouble flying those. And there, later on, it was two more squadrons were bought in 2006, I believe. And after that, there was no induction of any other new Chinese aircraft into our system. But we had MiG-29 that were brought in the mid-90s.
Yes.
About 8 of them. And there is a big case in High Court regarding the corruption that took place. So those were also old and brought it from Kazakhstan and made it serviceable, sold it to Bangladesh Air Force. So out of those one squadron that we had, we have only 3 flying. So in last 16, 17 years, no aircraft were inducted in the main fighting force. So they were flying these F-7s, which is BGI today, the one crashed. They worked with the Chinese technicians, engineering, and they did all kind of maintenance. So this is the main force, but I wouldn't think so, because MiG-21 is a pretty successful aircraft. But again, you're flying for too many years in India. I used to work in Spyjet, India. So I had many colleagues from the Indian Air Force. So they have been flying those. Those are also old.
Correct.
So airframe has a life. Everything has a life. So I think this is merely an accident that took place.
Merely an accident, I agree, because you know, only an investigation will go into the precise reason for why this particular aircraft went down as well. Group Captain Lawat, Now coming to the question of ejection, the F-7 has an ejection seat. In the public mind, one often hears that, a fighter has crashed, but the pilots managed to eject safely. In this particular case, you touched upon that. You said it's possible that it was too late by the time the pilot could have ejected. Could you elaborate a little bit on that? What a pilot in such a situation, in an emergency at not very high altitude over a built-up area, what would the things be going on in a pilot's mind, before the option of ejecting?
In my service of about 21 years, I have seen more than those numbers of ejections. I've seen ejections taking place on ground and also seen ejections taking place at high altitude. It's a split-second decision irrespective of where it happens.
Yeah.
Why did not a pilot eject is something we will never know, because we always find an answer. Why did somebody eject? Because that guy is there to tell us. But why did somebody not is something we can never know. We can only speculate based on the trajectory the aircraft flew after catastrophic failure of engine or some avionics or controls. So we would probably never know. In a study that was done at IAM and also at AMTC Henlo, which is an RAF, they looked at aspects of, they considered two vectors. One is fear, another is comfort. Pilot not pulling ejection handle, worried about the injuries that it might cause, and also looked at the comfort the cockpit provides. And it was again a speculative study. Sitting in the cockpit, underneath the shelter of the canopy, you feel things are all right, and you can probably bring the engine back to life, or you can somehow control the aeroplane.
Wow.
But it's difficult to kind of say with certainty why did the pilot not eject. It could be trying to recover the engine, trying to control the aircraft, or maybe trying to steer it into a direction which causes least casualties on ground. We would never know, and again, difficult to say.
Very true. Captain Reza, could you comment on this ejection aspect as well? Accidents do take place, but these are split-second decisions that are imposed on fighter pilots. And like you said, if he was flying at only a few thousand feet, that amount of time would have reduced drastically.
Yes, what I hear from my Air Force buddies, I called them up, and the instructor that cleared him for the solo flight today, he was in the mobile hut. So he was trying to comment. When he saw there are something is not right, the aircraft is having trouble, he tried to say, eject, but there was no communication. My best guess is that the communication system also failed. I mean, with the failure, the communication system also failed. So, the pilot takes decision, but again, on the ground, his instructor will be also a good judge to give a judgment. A lot of the times it happened, the pilot on the ground would say, hey, listen, you eject, and they have done it before. So he even couldn't communicate. But I saw a video in the social media. I'm not very sure if this is the video. They say the aircraft is just nosedived, and there is something went out, an object outside, which looks like a Martin Breaker ejection system. That I'm not very sure if that is the case.
Final point to you, Group Captain Alawat. I'm almost out of time on this tragedy. It occurs to me that this is also in some ways a reminder, of these aircraft that continue to be in service in the region, which many would argue have no business flying anymore. Of course, the air forces will never risk pilots. Ultimately, these are airworthy aircraft in the technical sense, but these are aircraft from a bygone era. And it is a reminder once again that these MiG-21s and their derivatives perhaps don't belong in modern air forces anymore.
Shiv, warriors don't choose the weapon that they fight with, especially in modern democracies. Coming to the point of ejection, there is a requirement to steel your will and cold professionalism in situations like this. While flying the Hawk, which is single engine trainer with two-seater, we used to brief our pupils as instructor. If things go wrong, I will call out eject, eject, eject 3 times, giving you an opportunity to eject first so that your chance of survival are higher. But if you come up on radio and ask me, confirm eject, sir, I won't be there. These are actually split-second decisions. And when you got to go, you just got to go. When in doubt, there is no doubt.
Terribly, terribly sad. But thank you, Captain Reza and Group Captain Alawat, for putting this into perspective for us. From our side and from on behalf of all Indians, we offer our deepest condolences, to the casualties on the ground, to the pilot, to the crew, the squadron, etc., that have lost so many lives today in Dhaka. It truly is a very, very sad day for any military, and we do offer our condolences and will continue to put the spotlight and ask the questions and the larger ramifications of military aviation safety. Thank you very much for being with me. Okay, we're taking a very quick break. On the other side, after Operation Sindoor, it's now mission frustration, and it has erupted where else but in Parliament. I'll tell you all about it when you come back.
Hello, Moto.
Motorola, India's leading AI smartphone brand.
फिनिस्टा विंडोज, ब्यूटीफुल एंड ड्यूरेबल डिजाइन्स, इंस्टॉलेशन से मेंटेनेंस की लाइफ लॉन्ग कस्टमर सर्विस। आपके घर में फिनिस्टा नहीं है तो कॉल कीजिए।
फाइन फाइनर फिनिस्टा। जनता के पास सवाल ही सवाल है, जवाब ढूंढने को वो देखती है न्यूज, और देखती है यहाँ तो सवालों का मायाजाल है। ऊपर से ये अलग फाइट है, कोई पूरा लेफ्ट तो कोई पूरा राइट है। बीच में मुद्दे के साथ कौन है, जनता को जवाब चाहिए। इसीलिए सवालों की परेड नहीं, मैं लाऊंगा खबरों की कचहरी। मैं शुभांकर मिश्रा, मेरे साथ देखिए कचहरी रात 8 बजे सिर्फ एनडीटीवी इंडिया पर।
I've been reporting on all issues big and small from Andhra Pradesh, Telangana, rest of South India, bringing you all the action, all that you need to know, all that you want to know.
The energy of maximum city is infectious. I'm bringing that energy in our news coverage from financial capital Mumbai.
Covering from the southernmost part of India over the last 23 years, I bring in-depth and 360-degree coverage from the Dravidian heartland.
The land of Mishti, also known for its bitter politics. I have seen much water flow under the Howrah Bridge, covering Bengal in all its vivid colors.
India's IT capital is always bustling, a city full of startups, stories and surprises. And I keep you ahead on all the Bengaluru buzz.
फिनिस्टा विंडोज, ब्यूटीफुल एंड ड्यूरेबल डिजाइन्स, इंस्टॉलेशन से मेंटेनेंस की लाइफ लॉन्ग कस्टमर सर्विस। आपके घर में फिनिस्टा नहीं है तो कॉल कीजिए।
फाइन फाइनर फिनिस्टा।
आप एक गुंडे कैसे बिहेव कर रहे हो सर?
मेरी
आप तो एक गायकवाड इज रनिंग अवे फ्रॉम एनडीटीवी's questions.
That issue is not before the High Command. It was not discussed so far.
Kolhapuri chappals costing $1,300.
The noise we made finally got heard, and it's so nice that somebody took action on it.
Pictures and videos of women that were taken in the Bengaluru metro, now on Church Street and other prominent places in Bengaluru. We managed to arrest both of them.
We are bringing you now, for the very first time, is that the Air India preliminary crash report is out.
This 15-page report into 10 key findings of what really is being said in this probe report.
What's reporting without impact? NDTV 24/7.
फिनिस्टा विंडोज, ब्यूटीफुल एंड ड्यूरेबल डिजाइन्स, इंस्टॉलेशन से मेंटेनेंस की लाइफ लॉन्ग कस्टमर सर्विस। आपके घर में फिनिस्टा नहीं है तो कॉल कीजिए।
फाइन फाइनर फिनिस्टा।
markets move fast.
And so should your portfolio. Expert insights, real-time stock picks.
Do I buy Ola?
Should I hold CDSL for the long term?
Buy, sell or hold.
The answers you need, straight from the experts.
Callers from India and across the world. Connect live, ask, decide and invest wisely.
Your portfolio, your future. Ask Profit.
But I'd like to start this off by asking you, Vishnu, what you think.
ऑपरेशन सिंदूर में भारत की सेना ने जो लक्ष्य निर्धारित किया 100% अचीव किया।
पहलगाम हमला 22 अप्रैल को हुआ था। अब तक आतंकवादी पकड़े नहीं गए।
सरकार पहलगाम और ऑपरेशन सिंदूर पर चर्चा करेंगे, हर तरीके से करेंगे।
चर्चा करने के लिए पूरी तरह से तैयार।
लेकिन संसद सत्र का पहला दिन इस तरह से हंगामा करना ये तो ठीक नहीं है।
Just minutes after the Prime Minister made that open appeal outside Parliament this morning for political unity on national security in the wake of Operation Sindoor, what did we get? A full-blown tantrum from an opposition that seems both frustrated and completely devoid of imagination. It is so disappointing. Instead of meeting the moment with maturity, the opposition made Operation Sindoor a prestige issue to sulk about and throw a tantrum about. Operation Sindoor should have been the rarest of occasions when every party stood shoulder to shoulder, not behind the government but beside the nation. Because what India achieved was extraordinary. We treated terror as an act of war. We struck with clarity, force and message. For once, India did not wait to be a victim, and yet 2 months on, the opposition has reduced this historic chapter to a noisy ego clash over who gets to speak when. Who should really speak first is now the bone of contention. What the Prime Minister is wearing and why it's a good reason to drown out Parliament. Now let's be clear. Of course, Operation Sindoor must be debated in Parliament threadbare. I personally believe an entire special session should have or should be devoted to Sindoor. That's how big it was. I was there, I saw it, remember? That's how deep its impact runs. 16 hours have been set aside by the government, but the opposition does not want a debate. It wants a spectacle, it seems. It wants to be seen applying pressure rather than actually pressing for answers. It wants to be seen to be forcing the government to debate on its terms. It doesn't care about the answers to its questions, at least it doesn't seem so. And that's why the motivations are in question. Should this be about optics or about transparency? About disruption for its own sake instead of contributing to the glow of a confident, capable India that stood up to a terror state? The opposition has bruised itself and busied itself with two things. One, the comically absurd claim these last few weeks that India warned Pakistan before launching the strikes. You remember how Rahul Gandhi obsessively went after Dr. Jaishankar. And two, a childish obsession with the loss of aircraft, parroting the very narratives Pakistan wants to push. Even 2 days ago, Rahul Gandhi's team quoted Trump, of all people, who made the claim that 5 aircraft had been shot down in the skirmish. Even Trump didn't specify who those aircraft belonged to, but for the Congress, that was enough to start jumping. Accountability is vital, but context is everything. If the only 2 lines of attack that the Congress and its allies can muster are these, it tells you about the intellectual vacuum they're working in. This isn't scrutiny, it's sabotage by boredom and a lack of imagination, by a lethargy of politics.
What India did in Operation Sindoor was historic. It was the first time India inflicted war-level punishment on a state sponsor of terrorism outside an actual war. The first time the Indian Navy operated so close to Pakistani shores in decades. The first time multiple Pakistani air bases were struck. And the whole world said nothing because the world now recognizes India's rise and India's stature. But the opposition here, it laughed, it sneered, did an aircraft count, it asked who gave the signal, it danced around losses like excited children, unaware that its performance was being watched not just by India but by our enemies. The irony, the opposition was briefed. The government kept them in the loop. The bipartisan unity was real. The government did its job by at least keeping everyone in the loop, and that was no favor. They are bound to keep everyone in the loop. So why is the opposition disowning Operation Sindoor now? Why step away from something that the entire political system can and should take credit for? Operation Sindoor's credit goes to the opposition too, right? The tragedy is not that the opposition disagrees. Disagreement is democracy. The tragedy is that it has no sense of occasion, that it cannot even now understand what should unite all of us beyond politics. That the opposition has become so petty, so insecure, so starved of vision that it would rather heckle India's new confidence than be a part of it. And it is part of it. And if that is truly the case, the next time India rises, the opposition may have only itself to blame for being left behind.
मुझे विश्वास है कि जब सदन इस विजयोत्सव को एक स्वर में विजय के भाव से इस सत्र के दरमियान उन ओजस्वी तेजस्वी भावनाओं को प्रकट करेगा तो भारत की सैन्य शक्ति को बल मिलेगा।
हाँ, सरकार चर्चा तो होगी, अगर वो अलाउ करेंगे तो होगी, मगर इशू ये है कि कन्वेंशन कहता है कि अगर सरकार के लोग कुछ बोलें तो हमें भी स्पेस मिलनी चाहिए। हम 2 शब्द कहना चाहते थे मगर विपक्ष को ये अलाउड नहीं है।
ऑपरेशन सिंदूर में भारत की सेना ने जो लक्ष्य निर्धारित किया था